Hi, welcome to Dark Shiny Unicorn. I'm Teresa Gehrke, and it's Halloween, and it's also the end of National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I hope that you learned something through my blogs and my videos, or had some other program that you were able to participate in. This is part 2 of a series called You Can't Bootcamp That. Last week I discussed human behavior and analysis and touched on the U.S. election interference by the governments of Iran and Russia. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but I do want to address the larger issue of what is the motivation behind the hacking. There are 3 major motivations I want to talk about today. The first one is financial motivation. That's an obvious one. The second is notoriety and fame, or ego. And the last one is coercion, by force or blackmail. One of the top motivations driving an individual towards a particular set of behaviors is a financial gain. The reward of money can offset both legal and moral consequences. Recently, I attended a webcast in which the speaker had a knowledge of counterintelligence, and he shared a story about Ukrainian men being duped into creating malware for a fake IT company. He stated that they were merely trying to provide for their families, and the money was lucrative. You could drill down even more in this case and argue that there are intentional and unintentional behaviors. It's clear that in this particular case, these men were unknowingly participating in cybercrime. When I worked at Mobile Guru as a cybersecurity writer, I wrote an article about ThiefQuest, originally dubbed EvilQuest. K7 Lab discovered Apple macOS ransomware and spyware. The malware was found in a pirated copy of the Little Snitch app, available on Russian forums with torrent links. The malicious code was designed to run its spyware module first to collect valuable data, then ransomware. Researchers found it difficult to reproduce the ransomware, concluding that the malware was buggy. It takes time before the ransomware is activated, but then it modifies and encrypts the system and user files. At this point, a message displays on the user screen that says the user must pay $50 in Bitcoin to recover files, otherwise everything is deleted after 3 days. Researcher Patrick Waddell found that since the malware was not set up to decrypt files, the ransomware appeared to be an afterthought for attackers. Even though this might have been an afterthought, it was intentional. What about hacking for notoriety and fame? Can the notoriety and fame be positive, or is it always perceived as negative? We recently learned about the Russian hacker group Fancy Bear that has been connected to GRU, a Russian military intelligence agency. In 2018, the Department of Justice indicted 12 members of GRU for hacking the Clinton campaign and the DNC. Fancy Bear was previously linked to the 2016 hacks of the Democratic National Committee and John Podesta, then chair of the Clinton campaign. Emails collected through the hacks were published by WikiLeaks before the 2016 presidential election and proved to be damaging to the Clinton campaign. The U.S. intelligence community has confirmed that the Russian government was behind the hack. Depending on your position, this attack has been perceived as negative and deleterious to the U.S. government and our democracy. What about positive notoriety and fame for hacking? This is just really curious to me. So what are your thoughts? Do you think it exists? Graham Ivan Clark. Do you know the name? If not, he's the 17-year-old who hacked into Twitter, taking over verified accounts of celebrities. I guess I wasn't famous enough. Clark faces 30 felony charges in Florida for his involvement in the Twitter hack, which compromised more than 100 accounts, including those belonging to Barack Obama, Bill Gates, Kim Kardashian, and more, and posted messages encouraging people to send Bitcoin to a scammer's address. He is accused of collaborating with Mason Shepherd, 19, of the UK, and Nima Fazeli, 22, of Florida, who were both arrested in connection with the hack. There was clearly a financial motivation to this hack, but I can also kind of envision or imagine that hacking into something as big as Twitter would be a huge confidence booster to these teens. I mean, you get the power and you get the notoriety. Finally, I want to return to our old friend, French sociologist Emile Durkheim, who I mentioned in last week's video. Durkheim's approach really resonates with me because his approach looks at behavior from an inside-outside perspective. Community is important to influencing individual behavior. When I was doing my research last week, I came across a point he made that I found interesting and useful in talking about motivations. The point he made was about coercion. It's not something I had ever really thought about, and in the Foundations of Sociological Thought, he writes the following. Here is a category of facts with very distinctive characteristics. It consists of ways of acting, thinking, and feeling, external to the individual, and endowed with the power of coercion, by reason of which they control him. Something about this really resonated with me in terms of cybersecurity and cybercrime. We can think about coercion as a motivation and authority and blackmail as a partner in crime. The coercion arises from maligned intentions or someone with whom has a particular set of skills that can be exploited. They are compromised. They are vulnerable. Quentin Hodgson at Rand Corporation authored a report in 2018 titled Understanding and Countering Cyber Coercion. I'm just going to read a little bit part of his abstract. It states, cyber coercion is defined as the use of cyber capabilities to compel an opponent to undertake an action it would not normally wish to perform and avoid an undesirable outcome. The paper seeks to address how a state can employ cyber capabilities to compel another state or non-state actor to accommodate its ambitions, how cyber coercion might take place, in ways that the United States and its partners can recognize, respond to, and counter attempts at cyber coercion. Just finding this report got me totally pumped up to read it. In fact, I was looking for one more topic to write about this year, and I think it's going to be about cyber coercion. The three motivations I touched on were financial motivations, getting the Benjamins, notoriety and fame, focusing on the ego of the individual and how big can a person go. Do you think this motivation is solely positive or negative? Let me know in the comments. And the last motivation is coercion. Who is controlling who, and to what extent? I will share the resources that I used in this video and blog if you want to explore more. Thanks for listening. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And next week, I'm going to be digging into cyber coercion. Stay shiny.